It is my pleasure to introduce our next presenter, Meg Miller. She's the Executive Director of the Resort Operations, Northern Quest Resort and Casino, a lifetime resident of Washington with almost 20 years experience in sales, marketing, public relations, strategic planning, business development, and operations. Meg is an active member of the Spokane community. Meg has served on many industry, nonprofit, and civic boards, including Washington Hospitality Association, Treasurer for Visit Spokane, President of Innova Foundation, Honorary Commander at Fairchild Air Force Base, WSU Carson School of Business, and Vanessa Behan Crisis Nursery. Meg graduated from the University of Washington in 1999 and continued her graduate studies at Washington State University and Cornell University, and is currently working towards her MBA at Gonzaga University. Meg demonstrates a clear desire to drive economic prosperity in the region while tracking and adjusting performance metrics to ensure strategic excellence is achieved on behalf of the Kalispel Tribe at Northern Quest Resort and Casino. In her current role as the Executive Director at the Resort Operations at Northern Quest Resort and Casino, Meg is responsible for strategic execution of activities related to hotel operations, hotel sales and banquets, maintenance, entertainment operations, spa, and resort retail. She serves as a member of the compassionate team working toward a common goal: to make people feel special. At this time, I'll turn it over to Meg.
Charles, thank you very much. And Dominic, I am so grateful for the impactful words you shared and the vital work you do every single day at the EPA. So thank you. Also to my fellow panelists and attendees for taking the time to care about our natural resources, which are extremely important to me, but the Kalispel Tribe as well. And it is my pleasure, I get to introduce one of my colleagues, friends, and Kalispel Tribal member, Erik Bluff. He is, as I said, a Kalispel Tribal member, and recently also graduated from Gonzaga University in 2021, where he earned his Communications and Leadership Studies degree. He is a steward, and stewardship is at the core of his work professionally and through Erik's participation in cultural preservation activities with the Kalispel people. Erik grew up as a grass dancer and Frog Island singer, two important community groups that are keeping culture alive at the Kalispel Tribe. Erik is a Salish language speaker and a steward of the Kalispel Vision, and he's grateful to take up the mantle of environmental stewardship alongside his cultural preservation focus. Passing on culture, a healthier planet, and education for the generations still to come is central to Erik's servant leadership style. Erik?
Holy smokes, Meg, that was quamkumt, as we say, excellent in the Salish. So, lem, Meg. And am I coming across good? Do I sound good, Meg? Cool. Well, it's good to be here. Hesquext hestinyakuke pesia, Erik Bluff squest, uchines ilziu, Kalispel studio, uchines in Kalispel sinum, aquasizugene, lemlem spezia. So, yes. Good morning and good day to some of you all. My name is Erik Bluff, and I am originally from the Kalispel Goodland, and I am a Kalispel Tribal member. I just want to welcome everyone here. I feel good to be here. So moving forward, you heard a little bit of the Salish language right there. On your screen, as you can see, we have Indque. Indque, that means river in our language. And behind that picture, you see our signature canoe design. That is the sturgeon nose canoe. And you see our words and the environment, it's sacred to us. So it's symbolic. It's everything you see. It brings us to that time where the land was plentiful, the animals were frolicking, but most importantly, culture was, in line with respecting the environment. So when you think of the river, you go back to that time where life was abundant. So moving forward, Kalispel Goodland, you see on that first point right there. So we call our reservation Kalispel Studio, and translate that to English, that actually means Kalispel Goodland. So for us, our words, they take us back to the time to remind us what to keep important. Takes us back to where we see that river, we see our people on the water, we see the fish coming out, reminds us, so our words and our connection to the environment, it is sacred. So sustainability is very sacred to us. And stewardship for the next generation, holy smokes, my whole life, I felt like everything has been done before me, opportunities, experiences. Very grateful for allocation of resources in this area, because it's installed a fire in me today to want to come back and ensure the next generation has the same opportunities and experiences that I had on the reservation, Kalispel. And also, it's very awesome to see that now we have language preservation, educational programs coming up. Sustainability to us is more than just as simply recycling. It's ushering in and inspiring the next generation. And I just want to say thank you to all Native and non-Native people in communities worldwide in their efforts towards stewardship and sustainability. Lem Lemsh.
Lem Lem Chalik. So moving on to the on the ground efforts we had at Northern Quest after Alex's amazingly inspiring words. Thank you so much. Our journey began approximately 5 years ago with a conversion of our lights to LED and more low energy consumption from just lighting. Our parking garage is 5 stories tall, and starting with a simple project that was good for the P&L, but more importantly, good for the environment, was the seed that germinated into a much bigger project and grew organically as people heard about our sustainability efforts around Northern Quest Resort and Casino. Our team got excited, and we came up with groups of people to have ideas around where we could start being more responsible, and met our great good friend and consultant, Erik, who's going to walk us through the specifics of what we've done on the food side, and as well as the recycling and composting side. But that organic growth with almost 1,500 team members was very important, not only because it aligns with our stewardship as a Kalispel people and organizationally, but also because it takes a great deal of effort. So that rally cry, that fire that Alec has, was an important one that inspired our team. And we were able to create that within the groups of housekeepers, maintenance workers, and our culinary team, who really had to do the heavy lifting every single day to make this possible. And you'll learn where we are on our food reduction and the compost and recycling side of things. But our sustainability path, to Alec's point, is broad. It's about that 7-generation thinking that Dominic spoke so well to just moments ago, as well as opportunities that present themselves wherever we can be stewards of our natural and cultural environments. So we're talking about converting our fleet, which is over 35 vehicles strong, and some of those water efforts also that the EPA is leading on within the hotel. So lots more to come over the years. Hopefully it's a constant practice and a continuum, not a destination. I think we're going to actually go to Erik now. We are.
Great.
Erik, my friend, please.
Yes, thank
you
Meg.
very much.
And so once again, my name is Erik Makinson. I'm the founder.
Erik, if you'll just take a moment, let me just go ahead and introduce you, please.
Oh, sure. Great.
Thank you so much, Erik. First of all, I'd like to thank Meg and Alec for that wonderful presentation. And I'd like to introduce our next presenter, Erik Makinson. He is the president of Resource Synergy, a Spokane-based sustainability consultancy. Over the last 14 years, he has led environmental projects for some of the world's largest corporations, such as Coca-Cola, Marriott, and Walmart. And since founding his own company in 2015, he has helped over 150 Northwest organizations reduce cost and improve their environmental impact through energy and water efficiency and waste reduction. He holds a BA in Business Administration, a Certificate of Sustainable Business Resource Recovery Manager certification, and Certified Energy Manager designation. He is currently supporting Northwest Quest Casino and Kalispel Casino, and recently conducted a waste characterization for the Snoqualmie Casino. I give you Erik.
Great. Thank you. And first of all, I just have to share how honored and fortunate we are at Resource Synergy to be working with some of the tribes and the casinos on today's call. Both the Kalispel Tribe, Northern Quest Casino, and Snoqualmie Casino are current clients of ours. But I'd like to start off by sharing a little bit about our work with Northern Quest and the Kalispel Tribe. Now, like so many Resource Synergy projects, our partnership started with some dumpster diving. We, in fact, isolated 1 day's worth of waste from both the casino and the hotel, and then took a sample of that and sorted through it all. We sorted out paper, we sorted out plastic, metal, food waste, and what we found is that last component, the food waste, actually represented the largest contributor to the weight of the casino. In fact, 41% of the trash weight was attributed to the food waste itself. And in fact, when you add in food soiled paper, paper towels, and other compostable items, they were over 50% compostable. Now, when 77% of the trash cost is caused by the weight of the trash and not the volume, what ends up being good for the environment, taking that food and other compostable materials out of the waste, is also good for the bottom line of the casino itself, because that food waste is 5.3 times as dense as the remaining trash. Now, what we found was some edible food and some non-edible food, which has really contributed to our strategy in addressing it. Now, previously, Dominic shared the EPA food waste hierarchy, and this guides everything that we do. Now, with Northern Quest, when we started, all of that food was going to the landfill, or more accurately here in Spokane, incineration, because we do have a waste to energy plant. But guess what? Food doesn't burn very well. And so it was much better to send that food to composting. And that's where we started. Now, all along, we knew that it's better to prevent food waste from happening in the first place. But the composting program made sense because it allowed us to address the most volume of material the fastest. It also delivered tremendous financial savings that have since allowed some of these other investments to be made possible. So now that we're here in 2021, we're working up the pyramid to programs to prevent food waste from happening in the first place and to feed that food waste that is happening to animals. Let's flash back to 2019 though. With the composting program, we decided not to roll it out property-wide out of the gate. We decided to take very intentional steps to ensure success along the way. The first step was implementing the food waste recovery in the back of the house in the fine dine restaurant at Northern Quest called Maslow's Steakhouse. And once we implemented it there, with lower volume and very highly engaged kitchen staff, we were able to then use that success to start to roll it out property-wide. The next step was the back of the house kitchens of the other restaurants there at the property. And then only once we were successful back of the house did we start rolling it out front of the house, starting with the team member dining room. Because as Meg mentioned, it's not just an opportunity to reduce food waste, it's also an opportunity to engage those 12 to 1,500 staff in the conversation, in the stewardship of our natural resources themselves. Now, all in, this food waste program, coupled with a single stream recycling program that we implemented simultaneously, saved about 43% off the trash cost of the casino. 43%, that's tremendous when you look at the scale of the waste spend of a property this large. And in fact, before COVID hit, we were actually diverting 7.5 tons a week of food waste from the trash to the composting facility. 7.5 tons a week. Now, that's great that that material is no longer going to the landfill or to the incinerator. And it's even better that it's going out to create a nutrient-rich soil amendment that's sold to many of the same farmers that grow food to sell back into the casino. But it had us asking, why is this casino buying 7.5 tons a week worth of food to pay employees to prepare, to invest energy and water in preparing that food, only to pay again to throw it away? And that's really what highlighted the opportunity to prevent waste from happening in the first place. Now, right now, we are in the process of implementing a food waste prevention system called LeanPath. This is a cloud-based database that is connected to a scale that calculates the purchase price of all of that food that's being thrown away, whether it's being thrown away in the trash or the compost or donated or fed to animals. And it calculates that in food purchases. And the reason why this is so important is because of the old adage, what gets managed or what gets measured gets managed. And what we realized is that if we're able to reduce the amount of food that the casino is purchasing by just 2%, it's the same as reducing the entire trash bill of the casino. Once again, 2% food purchase reduction is equivalent to 100% trash savings. And the same is true for the environmental impact. In fact, the World Wildlife Foundation recognizes that the amount of food waste in the US in a given year is equivalent to 32.6 million cars worth of greenhouse gases. This is a big deal, you guys. Food waste must be prevented in the first place. But we recognize that not all food waste can be prevented. It's important to prevent it where we can, but in those instances that we can't, we're working on up-leveling that food waste, especially at the second casino that the Kalispel Tribe owns, the Kalispel Casino, which is 85 miles from the closest commercial composting facility. And so unlike Northern Quest, it didn't make sense to haul that food waste to a composter. And so we've partnered with a local farmer that is willing to raise pigs on the food scraps of the casino itself. And we are very grateful to the EPA for a grant that will fund this 2-year project, pilot project, in which food scraps will be captured in the kitchen of the casino, ground up, cooked down, pasteurized for 30 minutes, and then fed to a dedicated herd of pigs that, once butchered, will be sold back to the Kalispel tribe for the various restaurants and casino operations that they operate. What was a ham sandwich on the plate at one point can come full circle and end up back a ham sandwich on the plate or a bacon burger. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Charles Reddoor to introduce our next speaker and valuable resource synergy partner.
Thank you so much, Erik. Our next speaker is Cindy Sperry, Environmental and Natural Resource Director of the Snoqualmie Indian Tribe. She has worked for the tribe for the past 14 years and has managed the Environmental and Natural Resource Department since 2009. She has a bachelor's degree from the University of Washington in Ecology and Conservation and a certificate in Restoration Ecology. In her capacity as Environmental and Natural Resources Director, Cindy is involved with several boards and communities locally and regionally, including serving as a co-chair for the King County's Fish Farm Flood Committee. She is also the vice chair of the Snoqualmie Watershed Forum and has served as a board member of the Tribal Solid Waste Advisory Network, TSON, for the past 9 years. At this time, I'll turn it over to Cindy.
Thank you, Charles. Hi, everybody. Can you see my screen? Making sure I did this correctly. Okay, thank you. Thank you to Erik and to Meg and Dominic and everyone else for this great all these great presentations. So my name is Cindy Spirey, and I'm the Environmental and Natural Resources Department Director for the Snoqualmie Indian Tribe. So in keeping with tribal priorities, the Snoqualmie Tribe's Environmental and Natural Resources Department has a mission to protect, preserve, and enhance the natural and cultural resources of the Snoqualmie Reservation and traditional tribal lands for the benefit of current and future generations. So part of our work is working on the reservation with the Snoqualmie Casino. The Snoqualmie Casino opened just in 2008, November of 2008. And in 2010, we developed a solid waste code that was developed with funding from the EPA. And our solid waste code says that all tribal facilities shall participate in recycling programs, food waste, compost their food waste, and also a kitchen grease recycling program. And this was this code development was all part of our integrated solid waste management plan development. So our beginning waste reduction efforts at the casino was our food waste composting and our fryer oil recycling for biofuel. And then after we had those programs in place, we continued working with the casino facilities and staff to implement further waste reduction programs. We recycled cardboard and eliminated styrofoam containers and cups. We made an effort to buy recycled products. We implemented mixed recycling, and we also tried to reduce plastic water bottles. So in the first 10 years of our fryer oil recycling, we recycled approximately 182,640 gallons of fryer oil into biofuel. We also tried to implement a food donation program. We have not been successful in doing that yet due to just the logistics of where we are and where the donations would go. But we were successful in getting some food waste composted out of those talks. We worked with the Snoqualmie Valley Food Bank and found out that they had a problem with people donating tons and tons of bread. They had way too much bread, more than they could use, and they were having to throw it all in the garbage. And so the Snoqualmie Casino allowed them to just come and bring their excess bread donations to our composting roll-off, and we let them just compost that for free and get that out of the waste stream. So as I mentioned, we do have a desire to reduce water bottles. So we did install water stations. We have 5 of them, 2 on the casino floor and 2 on the service level, back of the house area for employees. In September 2018 was the last time I was able to get a current count. We had, there are counters on all of these water stations, and we had saved 1,383,557 water bottles since the installation in 2012. So that was about 6 years. The reason I can't get a current count now is, unfortunately, I just found out that when a couple of the water stations filters were changed, the counters were reset. But you can see how many water bottles are being saved. So they're still working really well. Also, unfortunately, on the because of the pandemic, this has also been impacted where the water stations on the floor were not being used. They were passing out water bottles instead of having people get their own cups and use the water stations, but they have returned to use just this past month. And so we're hoping to reduce the extra water bottles that had been being used because of that. Another program that we implemented was changing out all of the lighting. And this happened back in 2000, 10, 11 is when they started changing. After that, I think it was 2013, they changed again to LED. And it was incredible the amount of money that they saved when they changed out all of the lights. The bottom line savings was about $6,000 per month. They actually had a crew of people, a couple of people that would start at one end of the casino and start changing light bulbs, work their way to the other end. And then when they got there, they had to turn around and go back. So there's a lot of different ways that this saved money. We currently have 1,583 machines that have LED lights. So 90%, and 90% of the machines have LED lights. It's 1,583 machines, and 14,000 of those have the newer LED technology. So that's going to save some money. I don't have the numbers there, but I can imagine that it's pretty significant. So when we began our food waste program, we did have a little bit of resistance from the facilities crew. The people that came from other casinos had not done that before, but we were able to show that composting food waste is about half the cost per ton as sending that food waste to the landfill. And even though prices have gone up, both for garbage and for food waste, it's still about half the cost. So in 2010, we did our first waste sort. We needed to get some data because we were developing the integrated solid waste management plan. We also wanted to see how the composting and recycling programs were going. We had some assistance from the Tribal Solid Waste Advisory Network, or TSWAN. And we did this one ourselves. I don't actually recommend that, but we did do this first one ourselves. We had a midweek sample, and we had them save the garbage bags for 24 hours, and we took 25% of every bag and weighed it and cataloged what was in there. It turned out from the amounts that we looked at, there was only about 18.75% that was non-recyclable or compostable. So, and there was a ton of food waste in the garbage. There was so much food waste. So we had to investigate and find out why was there so much food waste. We worked with the casino back of the house staff and found out that they were having an issue with compostable bags. They weren't strong enough for the larger garbage cans. So we worked with them, and we found a stronger bag, and they started double bagging and really corrected all of those issues that we found in that first waste sort. So it was really great to have the support from the casino, and the facilities staff, and the food and beverage staff. So we just recently did another waste sort. We hadn't done one in about 11 years. And we contracted with Resource Synergy, who you just heard from, and they're great. I recommend working with them if you can, or a company like them. You can see all the work that they did. They did a similar process that we did, but they had a lot more people, and they had a lot better setup. And they found that we had a lot of food waste, once again, in the trash, and a lot of recyclables in the trash. They also looked at the collected some data from the invoices for Cedar Grove and for our waste hauler, and took a look at how much we were paying and how much tonnage we were sending, to help us determine where we can make some of our corrections. So in the last couple of years, because some of the issues that we found and because of the pandemic, we're not sending as much food waste to the composting facility as we would like. But in the first 10 years, the data that I had previously showed that we had sent over 2,000 tons of food waste to be composted and diverted from the landfill. So even though we do have some corrections to make, we're sending a lot of food waste to be composted, and it's not going into the landfill. So we have some steps to improve our program. We've already taken some steps. We're tracking the water bottles closely now to see what we can do to reduce those. We've made adjustments in all of the restaurants, in the front of the house and in the back of the house. We started composting coffee grounds, which apparently they weren't doing for a while, and we're working with the chefs and the restaurant managers to sort of sort and increase the amount of food waste that is being sent to the composting facility and not sent to the landfill. And just from the changes that they've made, I'm told that our compost went up from 3 tons to 12 tons in June, which is pretty good. So all of our recycling is being sorted, and we're working to have the recycling hauled more frequently because we're needing to do that as well. We found out that regular communication and assessments, of course, is what's going to help the program improve. And we're also hoping to contract with Resource Synergy to get some of these programs dialed in. And so, as I mentioned, communication, education and training, partnerships, those are what we found are the keys to a more successful program. And I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Cindy. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you, everyone, for the fabulous presentations today. With the remaining time that we have, we're going to go through question and answers. So again, there's a Q&A box at the bottom of your panel. If you have a question or a comment you would like for any of our panelists today, just type it in there and we will answer them. So I'm going to start off with our first question, which is, aside from food waste composting, are there casino operations using and composting compostable food serviceware? I will open that to all of the panelists.
So I'll take the lead on that. At Northern Quest, we've really focused on durable food serviceware versus compostables. And so one of the areas that we focused on that is in the team member dining room. When we first rolled out the composting program in the team member dining room, there were everything from cutlery, disposable cutlery, to individual packets of sugar and other condiments. And what we found is not only were those contributing to waste volume, but they were also an opportunity for contamination of the compost itself. And because no farmer really wants a ketchup packet out in their field, we eliminated it at the source by going through and individually addressing each of those items. So we moved to bulk ketchup and even bulk creamers and sugars, and of course durable plates and utensils, and really eliminated those disposable items versus just converting them to compostables.
That is great, thank you. Would anyone else like to share? Okay. Our next question is for Mike. Mike, how does the glass recycling machine work?
I was actually just getting ready to type and answer that question directly. The glass recycling machine is similar to the grocery stores. You feed the bottles into it. So our bar bag team separates out the products at each bar, and then you feed the glass bottles into the machine. It grinds them down into a bulk product, and then a company comes on a weekly basis and picks up the grind glass.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
The next question is for all of the panelists. In terms of reducing household waste at home, is it smart to replace regular trash bags with compostable bags for things that cannot be recycled or composted?
So I'm happy to jump in on that one as well. Typically, I don't recommend compostables, whether it's trash bags or compostable food serviceware, in the instance that it's going to be thrown away anyway. Really, the intent of compostable food serviceware, whether it's the compostable fork or the compostable bag, is to facilitate the transport of the food itself into the composting stream, not by the benefit of the production of that compostable item from renewable sources in the first place. In fact, in some cases, the upstream impact of producing compostable items is as much, or in some cases even more, than their non-compostable alternatives. So once again, it's not enough to just use compostable bags if you're throwing that bag in the trash. It's far more important to focus on using that compostable bag or using that compostable fork or to-go container to facilitate the transition of the food out of the trash into the composting.
Interesting, thank you. Okay, a comment for Mike in particular. I work with Emmett County Recycling and work with waste diversion efforts, recycling and pre-consumer food scrap collection for Little Traverse Bay bands of Ottawa government and the Ottawa Casino. We deliver 40 yards of finished compost to the tribe's farm every year. It's a full circular economy story and relationship that we love to share. It's great to hear of other great waste reduction programs and partnerships here in Michigan.
Excellent, thank you. We're also going to look at buying some of the compost from the guy we're going to use down at the farm as well, at the greenhouse.
Okay, the next question. When beginning a composting program, what is the most effective method in creating a successful system?
Cindy, do you want to share on that, or I'm happy to jump in as well?
Sure, I can take a stab at that. So I think the most effective, I guess, in my experience, the best way to start a composting program is to make sure you get everybody on board. So meeting with everybody, absolutely everybody that is going to have anything to do with it, is vital. You have to have, if we're talking about, a casino or a business like that, you have to have the food and beverage people, you have to have the facilities people, the cleaning staff. You have to have everybody on board and get their input also, because they're going to be able to tell you, if something's going to work or not, or if something's going to be too cumbersome. And the problem is, if it's going to be too cumbersome, then people won't do it, because it's people implementing these programs. So we have to make it, sort of user friendly. That's my 2 cents.
And I just add to that it's also very helpful to start small and take very metered steps towards implementation. Everybody is excited to promote the composting and, throw compost bins out on the casino floor and, convert all of the packaging over to compostable packaging. But that is a great way to fail very, very quickly. In fact, the best way to be successful is to start first small, like we did at Northern Quest at the fine dine restaurant with the most engaged kitchen staff on site, prove that success, and then roll it to the next venue and the next venue, and always start with back of house before you move to the front of house, because that's not only where you have the most impact over those individuals that are putting the material in the container, but it's also, frankly, where most of the food waste is generated. In some cases, even in a QSR fast food environment, we've seen 60 to 80% of the food waste generated back of house, which is counterintuitive for fast food, right? But it generally is where most of the food waste is generated. So you have the best chance of succeeding and the most material generated back of house. So let's start there.
I can add one quick thing. Oops, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Consider the yuck factor and consider how you're going to store the product until it leaves your property. One property I was at, we actually had a walk-in cooler on the receiving dock, and that cooler was designated for all the food waste scraps. Right now I'm working on the program here where I've actually taken a building that's outside.
Oh, we lost your audio, Mike.
Hopefully.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Oh,
Just
there
really,
we go.
really consider where you're going to put the food waste, and is it going to be controlled for pests and rodents and things like that? It's an important part.
And just a quick point to tag on to what Erik said. Compostable serviceware is great for the environment if it actually gets composted, because it's really resource intensive to make. It's actually worse for the environment if it ends up going in the garbage. So make sure that there's good planning and good education as you roll out your program.
Great. So that was very good advice. Thank you. We have two more questions and I think they're really great. So I'm gonna, if we can try and quickly answer these, I know we've reached our time. But the first one is, would the casino workers have to separate the food to start the compost?
So the casino workers, specifically the kitchen staff, would need to separate at the point of disposal. And this is a very, very important distinction, is that we do not recommend everything going in one bin and having it sorted in a back room somewhere. It is crucial to sort at that point of disposal, known as source separation, versus sorting after the fact. That gets really, really nasty. And take it from somebody that's done a lot of waste audits. The trash gets nasty when there's food mixed into it.
Yes. Okay, and then the last question would be, do you include information or try to get participation from guests, or did you try to make these efforts invisible to them? If guests were included, how were their reactions?
Mike, did you include guests at Firekeepers?
We were going to try to post information about some of the accomplishments. That never got implemented currently. That was part of the lean path, is measuring some of those metrics and then being able to post to our internal team member as well as our guests. We haven't done that yet. We did that a little bit in Mohegan, is from a PR standpoint. I mean, it's always good to talk about some of the things you're trying to accomplish and bring more awareness to it. It helps the team, I think, buy into it more as well.
And at Northern Quest, we really focused on educating guests about what the casino was doing as well, versus insisting that they participate, especially on the casino floor. So, I'll use single stream recycling as an example. We implemented it in the common areas, in the hotel rooms, hallways, etc., but stopped just short of implementing on the casino floor for a number of reasons. It is relatively dark, dimly lit, and there's a whole lot of competing distractions from which bin the material goes in. So we really didn't feel like we would ensure high quality, uncontaminated material in the bins on the casino floor. So we did just put trash bins on the casino floor, trash and recycling bins through the common areas, and then focus on the 3 streams: trash, recycling, and organics back of house. In the future, we may roll out some organics programs with guests in very select places where they're, say, disposing of a higher volume of food scraps. But at this point, it's only been back of house and then within the employee kitchen as well, the team member dining room.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I am now going to turn it back over to Charles.
Well, thank you, Kim. And we wish to thank our colleagues and today's speakers for a very insightful presentation and sharing their experience on this very important issue. Finally, and most of all, we'd like to thank you for joining this webinar, and we hope you will continue to join us. We design these webinars for you, so please make sure you complete our evaluation and give us feedback on how we can meet your needs. We will post a recording of this webinar in approximately 2 weeks on the EPA Tribal Lands webpage. In closing, we hope you will join us for our next webinar scheduled for October 14th, 2021 at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's entitled Efforts to Modernize Newspaper Public Notice for RCRA Hazardous Waste Permitting. This concludes today's EPA Tribal Waste Management Program webinar series presentation. We thank you and have a good day.